Hey, Greg, how you doing? You got a copy, bud, man?
Hey, man.
Dave Workman should be calling in any moment.
All right.
Your mic is live. We're on the YouTube stream.
All right. You know, it's very interesting. Your senators seem to forget what they argue from year to year.
Don't even get me started.
I just got done watching a 30-minute video of Elena Parent arguing against the voting machines in Georgia from 2019.
Yep. Yeah, we should be hearing from him any second.
All right. On hold.
We're going to do that. Going to be another interesting week, homeboy.
Yeah, considering Arizona is calling to decertify.
Texas with its lawsuit is interesting.
Yep.
You need a number of states, Republican states, to join into that lawsuit, file some amicus.
It would be amazing if several other, even if it's a handful of Republican states, joined in, like Oklahoma, Florida, maybe Montana or South Dakota, or just a few other states that did not use this Dominion voting system.
Or maybe Georgia.
I have no confidence in your legislators over there.
Embarrassed.
Your governor and lieutenant governor are a joke. And I'm not a big fan of mine either, but
Kemp has been a complete and total disappointment in this state. He's been silent since he's been elected. Nobody hears from him. The state legislature under Ralston, his control in the Senate has been a joke, or the House has been a joke.
Secretary of State's a joke.
Joke. We should have moved multiple gun bills. We haven't gotten anything done. All because they're chicken shit scared of Stacey Abrams.
I don't even know why. She's just a citizen.
Yep.
10 seconds. Five.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. Because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the gunbroker.com studios on the Car Arms Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Inside these Armed American Radio Daily Defense gunbroker.com studios on this Car Arms Platinum microphone. Another day, another show. All of it presented to you by X Insurance, an AM Best A-rated, far superior company covering you and your assets and your freedom, quite frankly, if it should ever be put at risk because you have to use a firearm to defend yourself. Graduate from the membership programs and get yourself some real insurance. Real insurance, xinsurance.com. Welcome inside the studios with me today. Whew, another crazy week lining up, right? Georgia, the state where we are, right smack dead center again. I'm embarrassed to say, quite frankly. I'm so embarrassed that I don't even want to talk about it right now. I'm going to go right to my guest, Dave Workman. Dave, how the heck are you?
Well, I'm not nearly as embarrassed because I'm in a different state, but
it's pretty bad. It's embarrassed as an American. You ought to be embarrassed as an American with this crap going on down here.
Well, it's really strange. I was talking earlier to a guy about the way the election turned out, and there are still enough questions, and I'm being polite, there are enough questions about the way this election turned out that it's amazing to me that there isn't more hue and cry for full investigations of the election returns in at least 7 or 8 states because so many questions have been raised. And as I wrote over the last few days, there's a growing feeling that the election results are really not kosher, shall I say.
Believable. Let's just call it what it is. They're not believable.
47% of the people responding to a Rasmussen poll think the Democrats stole the election.
Well, I know that doesn't surprise you. It certainly doesn't surprise me. Look, at some point in time, I was a guest on a show down in Tampa, Florida today, down in my hometown, and I got to be honest with you. I was asked, much like I'm asking you the questions. I love when I'm a guest, and I get to pontificate a little bit and explore it from a different perspective on a different side of the microphone. And it's not conspiracy theory. When you learn to trust your gut instinct, Dave, as you age, as you get smarter, as you age, as you learn more things, you pick up more life experience, you know when a rat smells like a rat. Okay, and we can look at certain things that have happened and we can discern, hey, you know what? That doesn't look good. It needs to be looked at. And when one side says to you, because they're liberal, progressive, happy, giddy, because Trump is out, because Orange Man bad, and they've been beside themselves for the last 4 years, and they can't see past their ideology. They don't care about America. They're only concerned about their ideology and their agenda. And they say to you, you can't prove there was no fraud. And you look right back at them and say, can you disprove it? And the answer is no, they can't. That should raise some flags, Dave, should it not?
Well, yeah, it reminds me 4 years ago, it was the liberal establishment out there screaming absolute bloody murder. Donald Trump is an illegitimate president. Donald Trump is illegitimate. His presidency is illegitimate. Wait a minute, we found this Russian scandal. Oh wait, we're gonna find proof that Donald Trump has been conspiring with the Russians, or he's a Russian bot, or whatever. And it occurs to me that these people are living in an alternate universe where they think that only they can be right. They think that only their side should prevail. And they have set themselves up as the final arbiter of what truth and fact and the way we live, what those ought to be. And that certainly brings us right into the realm of what we typically talk about, and that's gun rights. These people are, I think, bound and determined to eliminate the Second Amendment, and the only way they can do that is to install the government that they want and then go for it. I'm not sure how successful that'll be against people who own firearms that are going to draw the line and say, well, no, you're not really going to do that. That's going to be interesting.
It's going to be frightening. I think it's going to be scary. But when you say,
at my age, interesting and is always a substitute for frightening and scary.
Yeah, that's there's a lot of truth to that. As you get older, you wonder some things. I want to read you something that frightens liberals, and it is something that if you have not read this to your kids in a certain amount of time, if you maybe you've never read it to your kids, you need to do that. Dave, this will be a reminder for you and I did this earlier today as a guest on a radio show, but it's important. This was in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, which I am in one of those original 13 colonies, Georgia. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another or with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Dave, profound words that when read to a liberal, they call you a radical. What are you, calling for war? No, I'm reading the Declaration of Independence. I'm reading what gave you your freedoms, and remarkably, we find ourselves living today at a time in history where we're separating. We're separating. Go ahead.
Well, you read that to a liberal, and their immediate reaction is, well, wait a minute, that's a racist document. Gee whiz, that's fascist. That's they come up with all these silly ass things. They've forgotten what they were supposed to have learned in junior high school, which of course evidently they didn't learn that in junior high school because maybe they were sleeping through the class that day, or they were more interested in maybe what Madonna was doing, or any number of stuff. Catching up on the Kardashians instead of studying American history. And I think a lot of people believe we have arrived at the point where it's time to draw that proverbial line in the sand, and that let's take the country back. They thought we were on the way to do that with Donald Trump. And the argument out there now is that the Democrats and the far left have had 4 long years to prepare for this, and they've thought this all out. And as far as some people might call this the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but they've figured out a way to fix the election. And I don't know that that's true or not, but I do know this. There are enough questions raised about the way the election proceeded and how the votes were counted, and how a lot of votes seem to mystically suddenly show up, and there have been no real good explanations for any of this stuff. One guy says, yes, it did. One guy says, well, no, you didn't. I mean, it's a he said, she said thing. And right now, the you get from the election, the more or the harder it's going to be to provide the evidence, because all of that stuff has not been really kept, as far as I can tell, has been documented and kept. It just was accepted, and there we go. We don't know, and I think that's really the tough part about it. We don't know.
Yeah, well, that not knowing is the problem. That not knowing is the illegitimacy of what we're seeing. It's the illegitimacy of the election. When we come back, boy, I'll tell you, when the breaks are, this hour's going to fly. So buckle in, okay? It's going to be a compelling hour of radio, no doubt about it. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. I have no idea where it's going to land, but it sure is going to be fun getting there with Dave Workman. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
All right.
Greg, you got to read on me, bud.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear yourself? Are you looping? Can you hear anything? You want to send something down to me real quick? MyPillow.com and click on the radio listeners
I can hear your speakers.
code AAR for all of Mike's great discounts.
Yep.
800-978-9358. And remember, use promo code AAR. Better?
Car, the 25th
Yeah, I can't hear them now.
Venerable P9 in various configurations. Magnum Research, the classic
good?
Desert Eagle available on 50
Let me listen. Hold
or
on.
357 and the new 420.
Very lightly.
The BFR
You want me
it's
back in
heavy.
headset?
and the Magnum Light. Auto Ordnance.
I mean, that's up to you.
And that's right,
No,
the
if you're
Tommy
getting
Gun,
something
the
back,
incredible
you're getting
M1
back
carbine, and the one and only
Yeah.
1811. Car Firearms, a family of brands standing for you.
Whatever doesn't give the loop is what
Ah,
you
can't
need
wait to
do.
get ready.
Celebrating 20 years in business, Gunbroker.com is the world's largest online marketplace to buy
Can't wait
and
to get
sell
ready.
firearms, ammunition, and
Yeah, if you're getting it, they're getting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Unusual. So I've got some of those amazing condenser mics, and I won't be able to use them yet, but that's okay.
It'll work out the kinks.
It'll work out once I get the ultimate.
Yep.
This upcoming segment of Armed American Radio is being sponsored by GunBroker.com, the world's largest online marketplace to buy and sell firearms, ammo, and related accessories. That's GunBroker.com. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show, indeed. You are in the GunBroker.com studios with me. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom here and across the country on the Car Arms Platinum microphone. All of it being presented to you today by X Insurance, a radically different company that is taking the firearms industry by storm, and it's radically different because it's a real insurance company. It's not another company selling someone else's product and providing you an opportunity to jump on the bandwagon under their policy. It's a real product. So make sure to check them out, xinsurance.com. I have it, and you should too. And when you make the comparison, you'll realize there is no comparison, xinsurance.com. Dave Workman, let's continue this conversation. It's a compelling one. I read the Declaration of Independence, or the very beginning of the Declaration of Independence to you, and to the left, that makes me radical. I'm an extremist for that, as you were talking. I'm an extreme. That's extreme ideology. If I put a come and take it Gonzalez flag, if I put a don't tread on me, which means get off my, basically in today's modern day and age, it means get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. That's symbolic, metaphorically speaking, of the government. Get off my back. Don't tread on me. Those are fighting words today. The threat,
well, Mark,
Dave,
you're just this is the liberal Dave Workman talking. You're just going to have to live with that, Mark.
No, but there is no liberal Dave Workman. Don't even go down that road with me. If I lose you, I've lost it all. Look, when I've always thought that the threat is not come and take it. That's not a threat. That's a response to a threat. Mm-hmm. The real threat is I'm coming to take your things. The real threat is, hell yes, we're going to take your guns. That's the threat. Yeah. Responding with, well, come on, isn't a threat. It's a response. Isn't that the case?
Well, yeah, and I think I can call on actually refer to an interview I did here with incoming Congresswoman Lauren Boebert from
Glad you did that. I have that pulled up and ready to go with you.
Colorado.
Glad you did it. Yeah.
I ran that story in Ammo Land, and it was a great interview. And we're talking about a 33-year-old woman, a mom, a wife, a businesswoman, runs her own restaurant there in Rifle, Colorado. And she drove across the Rocky Mountains last year to confront Beto O'Rourke after his infamous Houston outburst in which he said, hell yes, we're coming to get your guns. And she walks up to him and says, hell no, you're not.
That's true. True story. That is exactly what she said to him, by the way.
Absolutely. It was a true story. And I think there's a video of that floating around someplace. And you talk about guts. Now, that young lady, and I can say that because I'm twice as old as she is, she's spunky, and I don't mean in a derogatory sense. I mean, she's got a lot of spirit, and for anybody to do that, especially a woman who is, by all description, she's not a large woman by any description, and to walk up to a guy who's running for president, just tell him, no, you're wrong, pal. I mean, that takes the kind of sand that you wish every American would have, and especially at a time like this, when we're already living under the threat of a Joe Biden presidency in which he has made it perfectly clear he wants to adopt a gun control policy that turns the Second Amendment right into a government-regulated privilege. America's going to have to stand up and tell Joe and his colleagues, at least in the House, and his Democrats in the Senate, no, you see that line right there? You cross that, we're going to knock you on your butt. I think it's to that point. We don't have a lot of alternatives here. The option of being able to sit down and talk to an extremist who is not going to take no for an answer. That's gone. And I'm sorry, the other side took away that option. They have been unreasonable. They have been relentless. They have demonstrated ever since Trump took office, and even before that, but certainly since Trump took office, they've demonstrated that they are not willing to negotiate. We've got a Speaker of the House who is unbending in her extremism. And somebody expects the gun owners of the country to sit down and have a friendly chat with those guys and negotiate.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening at all.
No, and you're hitting a bunch of nails on the head. Now I'm glad we're addressing this, because that goes back to questions that I've you and I've talked about personally, both standing next to each other on the phone and here on the radio platform, for example. And that is, I ask these two questions of my viewers. I'll ask them of you again. And that is, what is it about their agenda that wants us disarmed? Number one. Number two, we don't trust them. And we know what their ultimate goal is. They've made that very, very clear. And we thank God for Beto O'Rourke every day during the campaign when he made the statement, hell yes, we want to take your guns. The first thing you and I and Alan Gottlieb and others and leaders in the gun rights community did was said, there you go. You just proved me right after 10 years of arguing this point on radio when Obama says, nobody wants to take your guns. Yes, you do. And, the silence from the other side, Dave, when there was, 1,250 people, I think, in the primary at that point in time on the Democrat side?
Yeah,
Okay.
I lost count.
We all lost count. We don't have enough fingers and toes for these clowns over there. I mean, it was truly a clown posse is what I called it. But that, again, there's two things in play here. Number one, what is it about their agenda that requires you disarmed? C, Virginia. And if, God forbid, the wrong thing happens in the state that I'm sitting here, and if you look behind me, you can see the Atlanta skyline. The wrong thing happens here, it's going to impact every single American. Every American. And nobody would have ever thunk that. We can go into why that is in just a minute as well. But all you have to do is see Virginia, because if the wrong thing happens here, you're going to see Virginia play out on a national scale. And I can promise you, Virginia's going to look like child's play on the national level. It's going to look like child's play if they control the House and the Senate and the White House. They will sign everything. They can get to Biden. Schumer and the radicals in the House will pass everything. That then leads to this question, Dave. We are now at that juncture where Americans are going to have to decide whether or not they're going to follow, quote unquote,
30.
the law. Now, we're taking a break here. And Dave, I want to refer to your story about Boebert when you said, and she says, and you quote her, I expect to be on the front lines of any gun control fight. Our constitutional right to keep and bear arms exists even in places that reject that fundamental principle. She's talking about specifically Washington, D.C., for example. So that begs the question, does man have the right to write law that takes away your right? And are we at that point where we're going to say, you know what? I'm no longer going to follow your laws. I have a right to carry my gun. That means I have a right to carry it in Washington, D.C. also. I'm not going to comply with you anymore. We'll talk to Dave Workman about this very provocative and, quite frankly, frightening part of American history that we now find ourselves living through. Back with Dave Workman right after this. Rabbit in a pea patch picking up peas. Get away, rabbit, get away, please. Run, little rabbit, run, little rabbit, run. Run, little rabbit, run. Yonder come man with a big shotgun. Run, little rabbit, run. I can't play that for you. Last YouTube come after me for copyright infringement, so... Even though We are a real radio network, and we have the licenses. They don't apply to the internet, believe it or not. Di Primo, it's so good to see you in here maneuvering through the YouTube. Seeing some familiar faces in here. Make sure to share and like this stuff, guys, okay? We want to continue to grow this. These videos go up on Rumble after the show airs as well, too. Kevin, we are on Parler, AAR Mark Walters. And we are also on Rumble, Armed American Radio channel, Armed American Radio, no spaces. Search the channel Armed American Radio on Rumble. You like tinfoil, get better reception. A better reception when Angry Mark comes out, huh, guys? Yonder come man with a big shotgun. Run, little rabbit, run. Since Facebook Live, huh, Martin?
Here we go.
Back to Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with Mark Walters.
Indeed, welcome back inside the gunbroker.com studios. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today across America on dozens of radio stations around the nation. Regardless of what time you're listening to the program, I can tell you this, that it is 34 minutes after the hour, whatever time you're getting the show. And you may be listening to the broadcast delayed, and we may not be as up to speed with some of the things that are occurring today because what's happening with Donald Trump and the court cases are moving quickly. It's a very fluid situation. But at least here on the Car Arms microphone, we're bringing you everything we can, 4:34 p.m. live Eastern time right now, in real time as best we can to you. I'm talking with Dave Workman here, and all of this is brought to you by X Insurance. By the way, you can make sure to please search on Rumble. Head over to rumble.com. Armed American Radio channel. Search and subscribe to Armed American Radio channel. A number of you are doing that already. We want to continue to blow this up. And YouTube, you can watch the live stream on YouTube. Mark Walters, Armed American Radio. Search the channel, subscribe to Mark Walters, Armed American Radio on YouTube, and watch the live stream from the Armed American Radio Video Network studios. You can see us on the screens. You can see Dave Workman, at least the photograph of him up right there. We'll have some live audio and video of our guests in the very near future as well. But make sure to please check us out on all the platforms. We'd appreciate it. Dave Workman, welcome back. The questions that I asked, Dave, are legit now, okay? They have to be asked. When the government overreaches, when the government steps on your rights, and we're at that point in American history where it's happening, we are the generations that are living through it. We're seeing it in our lifetimes. It's taken the country this long in its history to get to this point. Now these are legitimate questions. Am I going to follow the law? And I'm going to tell you right here now, I'm not living under socialism. It's that simple. They're not going to get my guns, and no one's going to tell me I can't carry my gun, because guess what? That don't go around here, law dog. I'm going to carry my gun anyway. Now, I'm not telling you to break the law. I'm telling you when they come and tell you that it's illegal for you to do something, or they've written something into a new law that treads on your rights, you've got a decision to make. I've already told you what my decision is. You're not getting my guns, and I'm going to carry my gun anyway. Dave, by that logic, people might want to are going to eventually get to a point where they say in Washington, D.C., criminals carry guns. I'm going to carry guns anyway.
Well, yeah, I think the code gets cracked when you talk to people like the mayor of wherever it was, when the mall stabbing took place. Or the
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. We talked about this, I think, last week.
You mean the shooter didn't follow the rules, didn't follow the sign that said no gun free zone? It would have been so much simpler.
If he'd have just obeyed that sign, nobody would have been shot.
You can't make this stuff up, viewers and listeners.
No, you honest to God, you can't make this up. This is just... so
thanks for the job security, though, guys. Thanks for the job security. We do appreciate that very much.
Well, yeah, as long as there are people like that, Mark and I will have something to write and talk about.
It's just remarkable.
For some reason, I think there is a disconnect, a fundamental disconnect with most of these people on the far left who just don't seem to get it, that criminals do not obey the law, and no matter what laws you pass to encumber and violate the rights of law-abiding citizens, the criminals are going to ignore you. And if you blame and penalize law-abiding citizens for what the criminals do, not only is that not going to be effective, ultimately it's going to come around and bite you on the rump. And you're going to be held responsible or liable in some way for the misdeeds of others. And I got to tell you right up front, all you people on the left, you ain't going to like it. And that's just the end of the conversation. You ain't going to like it.
Let me ask you a very provocative question. I'm listening to you right now, and my mind's going. And I've never asked this of anybody on air. But we're at a time this question has to be asked. Because you see, Dave Workman nailed this 2 segments ago when he said nobody wants to sit down and talk, because I'm not going to sit here. I'm not compromising with the anti-gun crowd. I'm not going to sit down. You're not infringing on my rights. No. I'm not accepting any more infringements on my laws, Dave, and I think that's where we're at. And I'm not interested in talking to you about it. I'm not giving you anything, period. I'm not going to work with Everytown for gun safety. They're liars. They're cheaters and they're snakes. I don't want anything to do with them. The answer is no. Shall not be infringed. Now, get this, people, means shall not be infringed. The answer is no. And if you try to impose that will on me, I'm going to not comply with you. I'm going to ignore you. I've made that decision. I've asked you as listeners, and I've told you, when it comes to that point, if the left continues down this road, you as Americans are going to be forced to make some difficult decisions. Am I going to violate that law and technically become a criminal overnight? My response to you is absolutely. You're not getting anything from me, nothing, and I'm not willing to talk with you and compromise with you about it. Enough is enough. Now, Dave, that begs the question. Because we are where we are today, this is socialism we're looking at. Trump said it right. He nailed it. He said, if the wrong thing happens in Georgia, right here, look out my back window here, the skyline. If the wrong thing happens in Georgia, the socialists and communists take over. I'm not willing to let that happen to my country. Is socialism, communism takeover the new slavery that this country is going to fight over? Bold question, brother.
Well, I don't know what kind of a fight there's going to be, but I can only speculate at best that it's not going to be terribly pleasant for a whole lot of people. And I'm not talking about a violent revolution or a violent confrontation, civil war. I keep hearing this. Well, actually, I keep reading this stuff on social media about how there's going to be a civil war. Every once in a while, I just can't help myself. I fire a reply. Well, hey, let me know when you're going to fire the first shot because I want to watch. You know,
listen, it's not something that anybody wants to participate in. I can assure you that. And I'm not necessarily saying that. I mean, I know there are people out there that are willing to do that. I understand. We're seeing a lot of very, very difficult things to look at in this because this is a very difficult time in American history. But I say that in a way. I don't know how the fight's going to manifest itself. But go ahead.
I'll tell you why I think this is happening. Because for way too long, we on the gun rights, on the Bill of Rights side of this argument, and I say that without any fear of contradiction, those of us on the Bill of Rights side of the argument, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, Fifth, you pick one. Those of us we have been way too accommodating to the other side. And by that I mean, we've tried to be reasonable, we've tried to seem rational, we've tried to understand and appreciate their arguments and yada, yada, yada. And they have incrementally nibbled away at our fundamental rights to where they're not only attacking the Second Amendment, but if you read my column from yesterday, I think it was in Liberty Park Press, a couple of friends of mine, Brent Wheat at Guns Magazine does an online podcast, and he was talking to Tom McHale, who's the new editor over at American Handgunner, and McHale was telling him that he got this notice from, I think it was Amazon, about Amazon wanting McHale to pull an advertisement for a
30.
It was a book that McHale wrote, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, and it's been posted on Amazon for a long time.
Yeah, 20 seconds.
On Basics of Shooting Handgun Edition. Right. And this might upset some of our viewers, blah, 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 blah. And McHale was saying, well, this is astonishing because, gee whiz, this is a book that we're trying to teach firearms safety here. And they want to squelch that. They want him to withdraw his ad, I guess, because it's got something that somebody doesn't like.
But you know what it doesn't like?
Money.
It has actual real firearm safety. They've hijacked the language. Firearm safety, gun safety means gun control now. It doesn't mean firearm safety. When we come back, we'll talk about the language. It's a great place to segue. Don't go away. Dave Workman, one more segment. Time's flying. Be right back.
3 down.
Man, oh man. Okay, now as we move through YouTube here, Stream Health shows excellent. However, Stream status is showing serious issues that need attention. But according to Stream Health, now we're showing Stream Health poor. Viewers, I apologize. It says here that you may be experiencing some buffering. I don't see anybody talking about that, and I don't know why that would be. If there's a setting we need to change from our cameras and our streaming software that gets the video to you, we'll certainly check it. We'll check that tonight and troubleshoot it for you. Oh, now the stream status is excellent. It just popped to healthy, so there you go. Darn dad
Probably
blast of the internet. What?
Probably a variance in the local internet service.
Yeah, could be. This is
because you got a lot of people in that state using the internet currently.
That's all good here. Everybody says just coming through fine. Yeah, and everything all the analytics here look good. So okay. Yonder come man with a big shotgun. Run, little rabbit, run. Yeah, I don't see any evidence of buffering here, so Stream Health is excellent now. There you go. Got my latest Kodiak leather delivery today. I've bought so much of the stuff I didn't even remember I had another order out. And it's beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Okay.
It's a garment bag, and it's it's beautiful.
Got you a Merce.
Oh, it's a big one. It's a garment bag. So, put your suits in, right? Hang up clothes. Beautiful, top quality, top grain leather. In fact, I like their stuff so much. I now have a growing pile of it over in the corner. I got to find a place to put it all. And I just yesterday, because you never know when you're going to use a travel journal, right? So I ordered the travel journal. It's $50. I got 25% off. Use the promo code Holiday25. Got the thing for $37. That'll be here next week. I mean, don't you need a travel journal?
No.
All right. Well, maybe I need one down the road. You never know, right?
I don't travel enough.
Martin says, whose holster is the one for your North American Arms Mini? Let me show you this, guys. This package was sent to me. This is the Sidewinder here. And it is absolutely beautiful. You can see the size of the gun right there. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. And the holster is super high quality. Top grain cowhide. You can see the construction of it here. And it was built for the North American Arms. And it came to me from North American Arms. And if you can see this, hold that up. The serial number on it is AAR Mark I. Now, that's pretty badass. And the gun came to me in that particular holster from North American Arms a number of years ago. So I'm going to assume it was from them. But I can check and find out for you, and I'll let you know. Good question, Martin. I'll find out. The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by Defender Coffee. When you drink Defender Coffee, you're making a donation to a gun rights organization of your choice that protects and defends your freedoms. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show indeed. I am not drinking Defender Coffee today. My wife and I had a pot of that coffee this morning. I set it up to brew this morning at about 6:45 a.m. and brew away she did. We knocked out that pot. And I'm just, I tell you, honestly, I'm having a little bit of sugar-free Red Bull here. And I do have a Pellegrino tangerine and wild strawberry carbonated water there. And carbonated beverages on the air is probably a no-no. It's, food and drink in the studio. No, you shouldn't do that anyway. This is where I ask you to please support all of our sponsors. Our partners here at Armed American Radio are simply the best of the best and are under tremendous pressure, many of them. The Mike Lindell deal, the story unfolds every single day. How viciously they attack that man who makes pillows and bed sheets and provides jobs and taxes, and he's attacked by the American left. It is despicable. It is disgusting, and we support him. So how do you get back at those despicable, disgusting people? You buy his products, and you support the right to bear arms. You use the promo code AAR. Visit MyPillow.com. It's a perfect time. The holidays are coming. They're going to ship it to you in time right now, I promise. Use the promo code AAR. It will get to you in time for the holidays. A great American-made product, and it supports the right to bear arms directly. Please make sure to do that. Use the promo code MyPillow.com, radio listener specials, promo code AAR. And, of course, Car Arms. This is the Car Arms microphone. Gunbroker.com. If you can't find it in your stores, and I know you can't, Gunbroker.com has it. I've been looking at some of my local stores, and I'm still looking on Gunbroker. It's just a matter of which one I want to get. I'm looking at the Bursa 380, by the way. Second Amendment Foundation. Dave Workman is sitting in the Second Amendment Foundation offices, coming to us today live from beautiful, rainy, but beautiful Bellevue, Washington. SAF.org, and help us. $5, $15 for an annual membership. A life membership is $150. And, of course, if you were watching during the break on the live stream, you could see me. I was showing you the North American Arms Mini that I have here in the North American Arms beautifully stitched leather holster. It's gorgeous. NorthAmericanArms.com supports us as well. FrontSight.com. We're going to be hearing from Dr. Ignatius Piazza in the very near future. Please support all of our sponsors. DefenderCoffee.com. The promo code is AAR. And enjoy Leadslinger's whiskey products responsibly. Dave Workman. The question is a provocative one. It's a dangerous question to even have to ask. Never in my wildest dreams did I think on Armed American Radio I would ever ask someone of your stature and caliber that question. But there are an awful lot of similarities. I cannot sugarcoat this. When you go back to, and I have covered it on this program many times, the Crime Against Kansas speech in 1853, when the nation was debating the entry of Kansas into the Union as a slave state or a free state. And it got physical when Representative Brooks caned Senator Sumner over the head with what was told and is a metal-tipped cane, nearly killing him. And by the way, the political discourse, Dave, was so bad in this country between Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats applauded him for beating the senator nearly to death, and the Republicans all joined over in support of the Senator Sumner from Massachusetts, the Republican who was nearly beaten to death. Brooksville, Florida, was named after the Representative Brooks who beat the Republican nearly to death. Dave, we're not far from that here in the United States now. This is a frightening time.
Well, I don't carry a cane.
So. No, you don't. No, you do not. Although, you can get on an airplane with a cane. I do have one. You can actually take one on an airplane, believe it or not.
Well, I want to tell you just a short story here.
Please.
Because this will explain to all the listeners why you and I are where we're at today. About 20 years ago, I was invited to be a guest on a local radio program over here in Seattle. And sure, I do that because people know who I am. Even then, they knew I was a gun writer, and I was writing a book at the time called Washington State Gun Rights and Responsibilities. Since gone out of print, alas, but at the time I was considered a pretty good authority in Washington State gun law. So they had me over there opposite a guy that represented one of the gun control groups that sprang up in Seattle. So we spent about an hour discussing the gun issue and blah, 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 this and blah. And at the end, we retired outside the control booth. We were down in the lobby, I think, sitting there just talking. And the guy, I can't even remember his name. He said, well, what do you guys want? And I thought that was kind of a silly-asked question, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, all gun owners really want is just to be left alone.
Thank you.
And he said, well, we're not going to do that. And self-control, like Doc Holliday used to say, well, self-control got the better of me.
Well done, by the way.
Self-control got the better of me, and otherwise they'd probably still be looking for this guy's teeth. But and I say that in jest, but that was such a stunning thing for somebody to say, well, we're not going to leave you alone, even though, you're law-abiding citizens, we know you're not a threat, we're still not going to leave you alone. And this is the kind of bully mentality, I think, that the other side has gotten away with, because for years, hell, for decades, we have tried to accommodate them, because we do, after all, recognize that they have the same First Amendment rights that we do. What we haven't explained to them is they don't have the right to tell us that we don't have any rights. And we have to, I think, admit to ourselves that we've made a mistake. We haven't put any boundaries on these guys like we put on our children, so they don't burn themselves on the wood stove. Mm-hmm. We just let them get away with this stuff.
We have, and we're partially responsible for a lot of this, as you're saying.
Well, yeah.
The four bastions, the four institutions, the great institutions that have made America great over the decades and over the centuries, have been, we've let slide. Our media, our free press, we've lost it. We've allowed it to happen. We did that. I'll tell you how we did that. We did that by not standing in front of that guy and saying, you know what? No, you're not going to continue to do it. And if you do continue to do it, we're going to put a stop to it. We've not done that. And we are guilty in that sense. At some point in time, we're going to have to say, you know what, enough is enough. If you come after my guns, you've got issues. I've made this comment many times before, that the political left in this country is never, ever going to stop, Dave,
30.
until they are, in fact, stopped. We've got 20 seconds. I want you to close out on that, if you would.
Okay, the 20-second diatribe is this. When somebody says we're going to do it, you tell them no, and they ask you, well, what do you mean by that? And the reply is, well, just what do you think I mean? And say it just as menacingly as you can. What do you think I mean? And then all you got to do is just let their
60.
imaginations run wild.
Oh, and their imaginations will run wild, believe me. Media Matters will probably be writing about us tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. Couldn't care less. Remember, all publicity is good publicity. Provocative stuff. But this is what the political left is driving us to in this country. And yes, the truth is a harsh mistress. It is the political left driving this conversation, not us. We're responding to it. Keep that in mind. And guess what? Respond we will. Make sure you know that. Respond we will. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is going to do it all over again. That was Dave Workman. Please find him at AmmoLand, ConservativeFiringLine.com, Guns and Ammo, American Handgunner, Guns Magazine, I should say, Guns Magazine, and lots of other places. I'm going to run out of time. Liberty Park Press, Second Amendment Foundation. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American Radio Network.
You are clear.
All right, roger that. Let me move over here. I'm going to cut you off. You need anything?
No, I'm good. I'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good, roger that. Go get some in and out later.
Yep.
Because I would. YouTube viewers, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Always a provocative show with Dave. I've noticed that Dave is getting a little edgier in his responses, and I think a lot of people are. A lot of Americans are fed up. I know I'm fed up. And you wonder how much longer you're going to take being pushed around by the political left. I'm pretty much fed up with being pushed around by the political left, and I'm really in no mood to be pushed around by the left in this country, and I'm not going to be pushed around by the left because it's the left that always likes to do the pushing. So you want to come over and push? Come on and push. Expect to get pushed back. Believe me, pushed back is being kind. All right. We're going to do this. Please make sure to subscribe over to Rumble. The video will go up there in just a moment at rumble.com. The channel is Armed American Radio, no spaces. Obviously, if you're watching on the live stream, you may not have subscribed, but please do subscribe and spread it around. Let's get it out there, okay? We're tweaking a lot of things as we move forward, but it's all in the essence of moving forward and exploding the Armed American Radio Network, the CCW broadcast media, if you will, of what this part is Armed American Radio Network. So make sure to please spread the word around on social media, get it out there as best you can. Twitter, I'm fed up with that crap hole cesspool over there at that place. We'll use it to the extent that we have to, but we will begin moving away from Twitter, I can assure you. Parler at AAR Mark Walters. Make sure to follow us over there. You'll see us badged over there on Twitter, at Parler at AAR Mark Walters. Make sure to visit Armed American Radio. Please still stay over at Facebook. You know, if you're still using Facebook, make sure to like and spread the rumors about us being where we are now over at Facebook, please. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at AAR Mark, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Instagram, I don't play that game, so you're not going to see me over there. I don't have time to be playing games in those formats. I really don't. At some point in time, we may move over there. Who knows? But I'm really not too inclined to do that. Like I said, I wouldn't be on Twitter if I didn't have to be, but unfortunately I do. All right, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the program today. Always fun with Workman, especially when he starts going down those rabbit holes. I like that because he makes me feel not so alone, like I have some company. But I know I have company in you. So, all right, guys, great program again today. Thanks for being here. We'll get the podcast out to you momentarily. And make sure to dig us on those other forums, please. Rumble, Parler, Twitter, and still stick with us over at Facebook. Make sure you like and share everything and get it out there to as many people as you can, and subscribe at all those places, all right? YouTube, it's Mark Walters. Armed American Radio. At Rumble, it's Armed American Radio. Look, you search up Armed American Radio with no spaces in the channel. Twitter at AAR Mark, and Parler at AAR Mark Walters. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.